I'm so high with no edibles. You ask how does it feel? It's incredible. And now I'm standing on my pedestal. Y'all got no morals, y'all unethical. I'm so high with no edibles. You ask how does it feel? It's incredible. And now I'm standing on my pedestal. Y'all got no morals, y'all unethical. I got a baby face, call it. What's going on, y'all? This is Terrance. I want to welcome you to another edition of Terrance Hill TV, presented to you by Double E TV over the digital airways of YouTube. This afternoon, we are live, getting into the thing that everybody's talking about, LeBron James interview on the Pat McAfee Show. And Stephen A has done his responses. We're going to get into all of that. Before we get into it, hit that like and subscribe button. Also hit that notification bell as well to be notified whenever new content is uploaded. Check out the community section, other videos that we have. Also hit that super chat button. Send in a super chat, help us out, help support this machine, or you can send your donations via Cash App. But let's get into it, man. Everything that LeBron kind of addressed. I don't want to, listen to the entire interview, but I do have like certain pockets of it that I want to listen to and give a reaction to it. And then obviously we get into Stephen A. Smith's, response, and I give some commentary and my opinion about it. All right, so let's get into it, man. Let's get into it. All right, so we are going to get into this Pat McAfee entire, some pockets of it, and kind of break down some commentary of it. Here's the section I want to address right here.
About old school basketball is a real thing, because that's the new narrative now. Is like it's a nostalgia issue. Like a lot of people who grew up in a different era of basketball and get introduced to basketball, they're going to like that era regardless of no matter what happens in the future. You've played through what now? 3 years? 3 years?
Yeah.
Back whenever Kuzi was doing no-look pass?
For sure.
The first ever no-look pass? Kuzi.
Yep. He's a dog.
Hey, he was an exciting white, wasn't he? He was an exciting white.
Sure.
He was
Kuz had game. Kuz had game for sure.
Boom.
Yeah, Kuz had game.
Yeah, but we're watching these highlights, and I'll speak for you.
For that era.
Exactly. Thank you. Hey, you don't have to say this.
Right. I mean, the eras are different, and that's like been the huge debate over the years. It was more physical. However, of course, I believe the guys are more skilled these days. I've watched both eras. My age, I'm in the middle, so I grew up watching Jordan and Isaiah and Magic and all of that. I grew up on that era, and then I experienced the 90s watching Allen Iverson come and Grant Hill and Jason Kidd and those guys, and then everything that transpired in the 2000s, and now here we are in 2025. The game is different. Some people may not like the modern era because of the way it's officiated, or the guys take a lot of threes, versus the game the way it used to be. I mean, it's just like a preference thing. But I don't think every time, in this case, we want to talk about LeBron, but every time he accomplishes something, why does Michael Jordan have to be brought up anytime LeBron accomplishes something? But I grew up watching Jordan. I mean, but every time Jordan broke a record or scored or something, I mean, were we talking about Wilt, or were we talking about, every time he did something every day, we're going to write a paper and talk about Kareem. It's like, you can't really attack these guys as much as you probably want to, because they didn't necessarily create these narratives. These networks created these things where they're benefiting and they're making money off of these debate shows, and they've got, advertisement dollars and stuff like that, talking about these debates each and every day. And then, me personally, I'm not a baseball fan anymore. I could not name
probably 3 baseball players who play in, you know, the MLB because I don't like the way they did Barry Bonds. I thought it was just shady and I lost passion for it. But I grew up a big Braves fan. Steve Avery was one of my favorite players. My favorite player, baseball player, period, obviously is Barry Bonds, but second would be Tom Glavine. I love Tom Glavine, Smoltz. You know, I grew up watching those guys. You know, I could name a lot of the 90s Braves teams that they had. And, you know, David Justice and, what was it, Ron Gant and Dion was even there for like a brief period of time. And you had, you know, different players who played there. But again, when I started seeing the way that they were trying to like do all this stuff to Barry Bonds, I just wasn't for it. And even look at the NFL. I don't like the way the media really tried to portray Terrell Owens. And I'm going to definitely make a video very, very soon breaking down some nuances of how they tried to do Terrell Owens, because it's the same thing. It was just like this whole, these media guys, especially Skip was one of the main ones. They had something personal against Terrell Owens and created these, in my opinion, were false narratives. And yeah, obviously, you know, we can get into some of the nuances about basketball as well, but a lot of these things that that we were talking about were created by the media. But now these guys are in position of power where they have, some of these guys got close to, you know, 50 to 100 million followers on their Instagrams. You know, they have their own media platforms. Draymond Green has his own podcast. Pat Beverly has his own podcast. LeBron has his own podcast. These guys, they're going to speak up and speak their opinions. And the eras are just different now. It's not like we're living in the newspaper era. These guys, they're going to give their opinions. In a lot of instances, they don't have to sit down and talk to you. You even look at the whole thing. I know people tried to make the whole thing with Marshawn Lynch, like, well, Marshawn was just being a jerk or being funny, but I get it. I get it now, you know, why he didn't want to talk to the media, because no matter what he said, they were going to try to spin it and make it out like he was being difficult or something along those lines. And he just, hey, I'm here so I don't get fined. I don't even have to, you know, just wanted to just do the interview and just answer, yeah, okay, yeah, I just work hard, and just very short answers. And he got killed for it, but Bill Belichick let them lose, and yeah, you know, today, you know, we just came out, and you know, I just got to go back and look at the film, and you know, or even you know, I love Greg Popovich, but he would sometimes be very short with the media or whatever. So I get it. I get why coaches and players sometimes just don't want to deal with that particular, you know, drama. I think there was a time, I have to research it, but I think there was a time where Jordan, you know, like for 2 weeks wouldn't talk to the media, you know, and but not that never gets brought up. And I think one of the things that helped Michael Jordan a little bit, even though he was, he went through his media moments. They was looking at him with a lot of the gambling and things of that nature. But one thing I think that helped him a little bit was he was friends with Ahmad Rashad. That I think that helped out a little bit. But let's keep going with this interview with LeBron.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll say this.
Yeah, game for that.
I grew up in Pittsburgh, so we didn't have an NBA team. So I was more NHL guy, but I would watch the Lake Show at night because I couldn't sleep. So
right.
I did know the NBA, but not like, I didn't follow it as closely. When I watched The Last Dance, I was watching a lot of highlights, and I was watching people dribble a ball like this. And I was like, I don't know how that works in modern basketball. I think you guys have played a couple different sports. I think there was a koozie era of sports where a no-look pass, holy shit. Then there was an era where people were starting to get like nasty. There's some more.
You had some Pistol Pete Maravich. He started coming in and started, you know, getting a little bit nasty. But then the ball was hitting off guys' heads and stuff. So they looking at him like, ugh, what are you doing? Like,
Never see those lowlights though. Only
Right.
see the highlights. Highlights are the only bangers survive. Then obviously Jordan comes in and transforms everything. You know, him dunking from the foul line, massive ordeal. He made a whole fucking brand off it. He's flying. Now kids are like dunking from the 3-point line in high school. It's like it's just like the game has evolved so much. I think. But there is like a nostalgia combo that takes place with you guys, this modern era. Do you feel that? How do you address that?
No. I definitely feel it, and I think you know, we just have to recognize that evolution is just a part of life, man. Like, you know, shit, you look at the Hummer from the 1970s to the Hummer of today. It's like, you're going to be like, okay, you might be nostalgic about it. You loved it in the 70s, but do you really want to drive that every day right now in 2025? You're going to get out the car and your goddamn neck and your back is going to be hurting so bad. Like, seriously, you're going to be hurting so bad. You're going to be like, okay, you know what? This might be just a Sunday chill car. Like, I drive it up the street, get some ice cream, come back home, but I
refill it because it gets 2 miles.
Yeah, exactly. I got to just start it up, let it just crank the gas for about 2 hours just to make sure it's still running. But like, you know, like, we have to understand that there's players and eras and things of that nature. Like, we get it, but like, you know, you watch some of the NFL games as well from the 70s and the 80s, and you got like, you know, Jack Lambert and those guys like coming through like completely decapitating people, you know, like murder. Ronnie Lott tore his pinky off and then went to the sideline, was like, just tear the rest of it off. I'm getting back out there. Like I get it. Like, those are nostalgic moments, but like the game is different, and we should respect all eras in that era. You know, we can't be saying, okay, just because Wilt was great in the 60s and 70s that he'll be great now. And we also can't say that some of the guys now will be great. It is what it is. Respect that era and we move on. But every single...
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, it's like a lot of hypothetical stuff that we're never going to know because it's never going to happen. You know, Wilt is not even alive anymore. So we don't know how Wilt would have played today. We don't know how some of these guys today would have played back then, or guys, you know, have retired, or, you know, guys are not playing anymore or whatever. So it's like what they did is what they did. And what these guys are doing now, they have an opportunity to keep building their legacies and stuff like that. I think some of it may be some jealousy because these guys are getting these type of contracts now. A lot of these, they have a lot more power and say so. And I get it. Some of those older guys, they paved the way for things to be where it is now. I mean, I put myself in this situation for a minute. I am more of a fan, and most of my favorite rappers, they're older. They're not younger guys, you know. But I'm not gonna get out here and to the best of my knowledge, I haven't made videos, you know, disrespecting rappers I don't necessarily like. I mean, if I don't like them, you know, I may just say, okay, it wasn't for me. Like, for example, the Playboy Cardi thing. I mean, I didn't know what to expect listening to the album. I actually enjoyed it. I thought it was a great project. You know, it's not necessarily my cup of tea of music, but I listened to it and I really enjoyed it. And I listened to a lot of stuff. Some stuff I like, some stuff I don't like, but I don't, you know, spend a lot of time trying to crap on art that I may not necessarily understand or like or whatever. And then let's just say, for example, if someone doesn't like LeBron James, okay, cool. You know, there's players I don't necessarily like, but I don't spend a lot of my time like going out of my way trying to attack people that I don't like. You know, it's just, I don't even talk about them for the most part. Talk about them for what? I mean, I have these friendly debates with friends of mine and we inbox each other all the time, stuff about Jordan and LeBron or whatever. Look, I grew up a Michael Jordan fan. I love MJ. But the only thing that ever used to annoy me, because as a child, my favorite player was actually Scotty. You know, so I always just get a little offended with Jordan fans when they just try to act like Pippen didn't do anything. Like Jordan just did all this stuff by himself. Like, no, that's not true. Like Scottie Pippen had a tremendous impact on what the Bulls were doing. And I don't care who you are, whether it's LeBron, Kobe, Magic, Bird, everybody's had help. Isaiah Thomas, Steph Curry, everybody's had some type of help. Nobody went out there and just won on their own. And you got to highlight the teammates. You got to highlight the coaches. Like all that stuff matters. Even look at Paul Pierce and KG and Rondo and Ray Allen. I mean, it's like a lot of teams assembled as great players. Great players, great minds, and we definitely have to look at that and not always try to make everything such a solo mission. But in LeBron's case, when they talk about, okay, well, he had to go to Miami to learn how to win. Well, he was winning, and I think they were winning like 60-something games or whatever, and went to the finals. Of course, they went up against amazing, Spurs team with a bunch of Hall of Famers, and I think Pop, in my opinion, is either one or first or second, greatest coach ever. So he's going up against that. Yeah, they lost. They got swept. It is what it is. However, I don't think there was a lot of great personnel on the team that he took to the finals that year. But you have to look at Jordan. They were losing before Pippen got there. They were. I mean, I think his playoff record was like 1-9 before Pippen even got there. And every year there was, struggling against the Pistons, and and obviously they had to get over that hurdle, but for some reason it's like that's not talked about all the time. And it's like, to me, this is my opinion, it just seems like LeBron's failures are always brought up, but when it comes to MJ, we don't bring up any failures whatsoever. Well, he went to Washington. Well, he was just trying to be an owner. That was just a ceremonial thing. It doesn't matter. Like, they didn't go to the playoffs, and his competitive drive. And I watched every game for the most part those 2 years that Jordan was with the Wizards. I went to 2 games. I went when they came to the Hawks, and I remember one of the games the guy hit a buzzer beater over MJ or whatever. I was there for that, so I was rooting for MJ at that time. And he had good games. He had good games, but he wasn't dominant either. He had a lot of games where he struggled. And he had games where he would score 2 points or 8 points or whatever, but the style of ball, it was definitely different from what he was accustomed to. And I remember games where the Phoenix Suns and Nash and that pick and roll stuff would just run them off the floor. He wasn't used to that style of play, and definitely going up against more athletic guards and things of that nature. Now, he had a lot of great games who would cook guys or whatever. And if a shot got blocked or whatever, and I remember that play, he went and the guy was about to dunk, he went up and snatched it off the rim. I mean, awesome. I was there for all that. So, I salute, the things that MJ did. However, but he had moments that he didn't win either, and Penny came in and Grant Hill came in. These guys, and Pippen, was my favorite player, but those guys, they had difficulty guarding Grant Hill. I mean, because the moves that Grant was doing, they had never really seen that stuff before. And I remember a play, he shook Jordan and spent on Pippen. I mean, like both of them, like they were having difficulty. And there were just, Rex Chapman is another guy, who really gave Jordan problems. And I only bring that up because it's always, well, nobody fears LeBron. Everybody was scared of Jordan. Rex Chapman wasn't scared of Jordan. Other players I could name that, really went out there and put their all on the line. So again, these are just narratives that people have, created and said, I think, just to tear down, just try to, say that he's the GOAT because of this reason or whatever. I remember when Jordan went to go visit Phil Jackson, when Phil was with the Lakers, and when Kobe saw him, he said, put on your, gym shoes or whatever, because he always challenged Jordan. He always wanted to beat him and say he could have beat him or whatever. And I know Jordan liked that competitiveness from Kobe, but to my knowledge, I don't think they've ever had like a one-on-one game. But everybody else, for the most part, who talks smack to Jordan, he wants to go out there and kill you, like Kyrie Irving used to, challenge Kobe, tell Kobe he couldn't guard him or whatever. So, I mean, you have to respect guys who are like competitive and people like, even if I lose, I'm not afraid to lose. And I just think that was a false narrative created just to try to, minimize LeBron.
Day that he's better, he's not better. He wouldn't. You trying to tell me Giannis wouldn't be able to play an NBA game in the 70s?
I think he wouldn't be able to do it.
Giannis,
neither would you. Neither would you.
Giannis Antetokounmpo would have 250 points in a game in the 70s. 250.
Is that Koozie? When was Koozie playing? Dude, Koozie's locking up fucking Giannis, brother.
He's saying 70s, not 50s.
And that's no disrespect. Like, it's no disrespect. But, like, seriously, like, Kyrie Irving. Like,
They would have called him a witch. They would have called him a witch.
No, they would have told Kyrie, you're not. You know how they used to tell Lou Alcindor at the time that he couldn't dunk in high school games? Yeah. They would have told Kyrie, you're not allowed to dribble anymore. Mm-hmm. That's what they would have told him. Dribbling is outruled. They would have seen that.
How tall are you?
I'm 6'9".
And how heavy are you?
I'm give or take in between 2.
All right. So I think I've seen about enough of that. I want to transition to something else. Okay. So let's get into a little bit. Not much, but just a minute or two of Stephen A. and Windhurst and Perk addressing all this stuff this morning. Like I said, I'm not going to be on here too much longer with this. I just wanted to kind of give my 2 cents. All right.
Okay, little Wendy's hack. If you want a super fresh, high-quality burger every time, tell them you want a hamburger. That's a hack, right? No? A hack-free burger made fresh for you? Gotta be Wendy's.
Yesterday, LeBron James appeared on the Pat McAfee Show, apparently, chopped it up about a whole bunch of things, but one talking point was his opinion on the current coverage of the NBA. Let's take a listen to that.
Why I started, the podcast Mind the Game with JJ, last year. It was like, it was a looseness of the sport being covered and how the sport should be covered. It had got away from the essence of the game of basketball, of why I fell in love with the game, why I teach the younger generation.
That is the skills that he can do on the basketball court with how he can see passes 2 steps in advance, that he can, predict the way things are going to move. It's one of the reasons he's so incredible.
James was in junior high school. Who did LeBron James go on national television and call weird? Who did he denigrate yesterday? That would be Brian Windhorst. This man talks about drama, but the man has a production company that tries to produce drama. He himself has produced drama. When he was in Boston and he decided to depart from the Cleveland Cavaliers, remember how he pulled off his jersey as he was walking away? Because that was going to create the headlines like, this is it for LeBron James. When he sat down with Jim Gray, wasn't that a production? Am I missing something? When Bronny James entered the game as a Los Angeles Laker to open the season, was that not promoted? See, the point is, he wants to have it both ways. This is what he does. So in other words, when we sit here, as I said, give me my ticker if we have it. Great father, great husband, great philanthropist, great director, great producer, great businessman, great husband, great everything. We've said all of these things.
Even all that is unnecessary too. How do you know he's a great husband? How do you know any of that stuff? I mean, those are things that we're talking about. It's like, that's the stuff that probably just shouldn't even be addressed or what. I'm not saying he's not, but it's like, why even bring any of that up? Let's just talk about basketball and that only. Okay, what if someone is a great player, but they're not great off the floor? So why are we even going into that area anyway? But he's talking about it was a production when he was there. But I remember, the Last Dance did come out and there were cameras following the Bulls so it was a production going on, right? So what are we talking about? To me, it's like kind of, I get it. MJ is your guy. You love MJ. Cool. I don't have a problem. Look, it ain't putting no money in my pocket one way or another. People like Jordan or they like LeBron. I like LeBron. I like MJ as well. But to me, in my observation, I do have LeBron James as the GOAT. That's my personal opinion. When it comes to rappers, Eminem and Nas are my two favorite rappers. If you think Jay-Z is the GOAT, cool. I'm not, we're not going to have World War III because you like Jay-Z better than Nas, or I like Nas over Jay-Z, or, I think Eminem and Nas, I can't really pick between those two. So those are my two guys or whatever. But I respect other MCs. I respect Lupe Fiasco. I respect a lot of other great rappers who I think are crazy with the pen or whatever, right? So, and there's a lot of guys who I think they don't get the marketing, they don't get the promotion, and I try to talk about them every chance I get because I respect the art form of MCing. RJ Payne, look him up, incredible MC. King Los, a lot of people have, been talking about his freestyles and stuff, but King Los is a great rapper. So there's a lot of great MCs, Pharaoh Munch, and I can go on and on. There's a lot of great MCs or whatever. But there are, people who may have, Biggie or whoever, right? And that's fine. Everybody's entitled to their opinion of who they want to, have as the GOAT. But to me, it's like all this extra sauce. And I get it. They got to, have ratings and all that. But it's like, to me, it's just extra sauce about a production, and he took his jersey off when he lost them. What does that have to do with anything? It's just whatever. I mean, I've seen guys lose and go back and slam a TV or whatever. I mean, it happens. When people lose, they're frustrated. Chris Bosh, when they lost to, what was that, Dallas? I think it was. I think he cried. I mean, it's just people's emotions. They do different things when they lose.
All he hears are the points that he don't want to hear, because that's what he's sensitive to. But the good stuff that we say about him, which, by the way, is at least 95% of the time, it don't mean anything to him, because we don't mean anything to him. And as a result, here you are, you have your platform, and we bring up the podcast and the Mind Your Game with Steve Nash. We keep forgetting that the previous Mind Your Game podcast was with the present head coach who replaced the...
All right, enough of that. Here's the last point I want to make, and we'll kind of shut it down on this point here. Last point I want to make, and we'll shut it down here. All right, I want you guys to watch something, and I'm bringing this up for a reason. Listen to Dr. Dre, okay, and Snoop Dogg. As accomplished as they are, and especially Dre, with his, since the 80s, World Class Wrecking Crew, NWA, Eazy-E, the DOC, Snoop, a lot of the stuff that was going on at Death Row. Then obviously Aftermath, Eminem, 50 Cent, Kendrick Lamar, The Game, go on and on about Dre's legacy, right? Listen what Dr. Dre has to say right here. This is when they were promoting the Missionary album. Listen to what Dre has to say.
A fucking Monday morning, slap the shit out of the owner. No more taking orders. Still forming lawsuits and dodging reporters. Death Row, Cadillac Records in these muddy waters.
Every day when you wake up, what keeps you motivated?
My motivating factor is my grandkids. I got 12 grandkids, and that's my motivation, to make sure that I can be a good grandfather to them, to be able to create things for them that wasn't created for me, and to give them a head start.
My motivating factor is to not be defined by some of the mistakes I've made in my life, to strive to get better and better, to give back.
My song set in stone, my story can't be erased. It's like a jungle sometimes on this planet of the apes. That's why I keep a couple banana clips just in case. Got me in here feeling like Malcolm behind the drapes.
There's another fucking Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg in their fucking bedroom.
All right, listen what he says, right? Listen to him.
I keep a couple banana clips just in case. Got me in here feeling like Malcolm behind the drapes.
There's another fucking Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg in their fucking bedroom right now. It's like a 16-year-old kid that's gonna come out and do some shit that's even bigger and more spectacular than what we've ever done.
Now look how he's saying it with the spirit that he's saying it with. he's happy. Like, I'm good. Like, my legacy is cemented. I don't need all this, like I'm mad, I'm jealous of Hit Boy or some other producer that's doing incredible things. Like, you show love to the new generation of people that's coming along. And I love this part right here. It's fire.
Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg in their fucking bedroom right now. It's like a 16-year-old kid that's gonna come out and do some shit that's even bigger and more spectacular than what we've ever done. That's what I'm hoping for. Hopefully that happens soon.
Yeah, he or she out there.
Yeah.
All right, so they want the next generation to be great. So what are we talking about? Now me personally, this is just my personal opinion. I don't believe Floyd Mayweather is the GOAT at all, but I have no problem with him feeling that he is the GOAT. And I think he has a great argument to be one. Definitely. I think I would probably have him top 5. I don't necessarily have him as like the GOAT. But again, there's some people that's so offended by that because of what Ali did, and oh no one can ever be greater than Ali or whatever, or Martin Luther King Jr., God rest his soul, legend, right? I live in Montgomery. I mean, he pastored a church here. He did a lot of work in the city. And, there's other people that we don't talk about. I know everybody talks about Rosa Parks, but there was, Johnny Carr, there was September Clark. There were other people who did a lot of, great things within the civil rights movement as well. But do we honestly feel that a person won't come along one day that may have a greater impact than Martin Luther King Jr.? That someone may not come along, out of billions of people that can't come along and maybe have a greater impact one day than Malcolm. I mean, so there were just anyone who's done something, no one will ever come and top it one day, right? I don't think like that. I mean, I just don't think that way, like, okay, Tom Brady has 7 Super Bowls. Maybe we may not see it in our lifetime, but that doesn't mean it won't happen, that someone won't come along and get 10, like, what are we talking about? I mean, it's like, it's just hard for some people just to wrap that in their mind that I get it. You like who you like. You love who you love. Look, Tom Cruise is my favorite actor, but that doesn't mean one day that some other actor may not come along and I'm like, man, I think he's better than Tom, or I think he's better than Al Pacino, or I think he's better than De Niro. Like, why do we just limit ourselves to say that we're never going to see something again in our lifetime? I just don't think that way. But I love that little part with Dr. Dre saying that he can't wait to see the next Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg, and they're going to come along and do something bigger than what we've ever done. I just like the spirit that he said it with. There was a smile, there was a joy in saying that, because a lot of times, if you, in some ways, you have a part in that, because if you inspired someone to go along and do bigger and better things than you have done, isn't that a part of your legacy as well? But anyway, before we get out of here, I just wanted to kind of tap in on this whole topic. I know everybody's talking about it. I know people love MJ. I know a lot of people love LeBron, and it's going to continue to be a big barbershop debate. Some people have Kobe in there. Cool, like, it is what it is. Everyone is entitled to their opinion. Those who want to follow me on other social media sites, you can find me on Instagram at I'm in the Hills, Facebook, I'm in the Hills, Snapchat, I'm in the Hills, X, formerly known as Twitter, I'm in the Hills, and TikTok, I'm in the Hills as well. Those who want to donate to our efforts, the Cash App is I'm in the Hills. And I have 2 websites. The first one is doubleetv.com. That stands for Epic Elevate the Vision. And the other website is terrancehill.com as well. Follow me on all social media sites. Even looking at like what Steph Curry is doing is crazy. The dude, 4,000 threes, it's crazy, I think James Harden is somewhere like around 3, right? I mean, that doesn't mean one day someone won't come along and eclipse that. one day someone will come along and pass LeBron in points. I mean, it took 38 years for LeBron to break Kareem's record, but we did see it happen, so that doesn't mean that. I think records are made to be broken. And I think, obviously what LeBron has done, what Tom Brady has done, Favre, whoever has done is amazing. But that doesn't mean that there's someone that ain't hungry for their opportunity as well. And we have to also take into account the thousands of athletes that were, probably, hell, it could have been someone better than LeBron and Jordan. They just never got the opportunity to play or whatever, or maybe injury or something along those lines took them out of the opportunity to do what they wanted to do on the basketball floor. But anyway, again, those that want to donate to our efforts, that's a Cash App. I'm in the Hills. Really appreciate you guys for tuning into this edition of Terrance Hill TV. Again, hit that like and subscribe button. Hit that notification bell to be notified whenever new content is uploaded. Check out the community section where you guys can vote on polls. I really appreciate it. And I will see you guys next time. Take care.
I'm so high with no edibles. You ask how does it feel? It's incredible. And now I'm standing on my pedestal. Y'all got no morals, y'all unethical. I'm so high with no edibles. You ask how does it feel? It's incredible. And now I'm standing on my pedestal. Y'all got no morals, y'all unethical. I got a baby face, call it